There are hundreds of these streams throughout Haiti. I'm in a location called Lac Aline, which is part of Akin. Many people use these streams to bathe every day. They wash their clothes in these streams, and from time to time people have been known to drink from these waters as well. Now sadly, they're not the only ones using these waters, because very often they tie their livestock near the water's edge here, and they can be left for many hours at a time. The livestock leave their excrement in these waters as well. Subsequently, there are several waterborne sicknesses and diseases that people contract from exposure to these waters.
Detergents containing phosphates are introduced to the water, contaminating water sources for people, livestock, and plant life that depend on these water sources both above and below ground.
It's a sad fact that in the third world, many people either don't have access to clean water or they simply can't afford it. If they're purchasing it, water in Haiti is very expensive to purchase. There are not very many wells throughout this region of Haiti either. And this is a common problem throughout the country, whether we're talking about the city of Port-au-Prince, some of the surrounding towns, or a rural location like we're in now.
Third world countries simply don't have the financial resources and infrastructure to manage garbage. Recycling programs are often non-existent or very limited. Sadly, in the third world, it's common for people to dispose of garbage on their own properties or in public waterways, further increasing the potential for sickness and disease to spread to both people and livestock. Outhouses are built without the use of storage tanks and increase the risk of human waste leaching into the water table. It's a common practice in the third world, whenever people can afford it, to have and maintain livestock as a method of feeding their families, transporting goods, and generating income or trade. It's also a common practice for livestock to live in close proximity to people's homes. Farm machinery is simply not an option for most people living in the third world. However, if not for growing their own food, many people would starve to death and would lack the financial resources they derive from selling some of their surplus food products. Agricultural planting methods are less than optimal, and farmers regularly spend many long hard hours out working in their fields. Donkeys and mules are commonly used to transport goods to markets. These markets are commonplace throughout the cities, towns, and countryside, and afford people an opportunity to generate income. In a society where jobs are rare, and a general laborer might earn as little as $1 or $2 US for an entire day's work, and pay more for brand name items than we pay in the industrialized nations. New and used clothing items, candy, homegrown fruits and vegetables, personal care products, and livestock are commonly sold at such markets. Fish are sold salted or pre-cooked on an open fire because ice is seldom available in the third world. And if you can buy ice, it's very expensive. Depending on where you're at, you won't find very many restaurants operating in the third world, but you will find vendors who are preparing food. You're not likely to find a Board of Health operating here. And eating these foods is not for the faint of heart. For those who can afford it, comparatively inexpensive motorcycles are utilized as a chief means of transportation to navigate the difficult and winding roads. The gross lack of electricity means that most people must cook with firewood or charcoal, and these items can be purchased at the local markets. It's not at all uncommon to find such vendors in the middle of the streets, approaching vehicles even as they're moving. In the local cities and towns, street vending is given a whole new meaning, as vendors commonly approach vehicles, both public transportation and private, to sell their wares and their goods. From homemade bread and potato chips to sunglasses and soft drinks, you never know what will be sold in the streets. Known as tap-taps, public transportation consists primarily of these pickup trucks, which have been modified somewhat to carry both passengers and cargo from within the box of the pickup truck. I've counted as many as 21 adults plus supplies in the box of those trucks, an insurance nightmare to be sure. If you find the retail experience in the industrialized nations to be something of a hassle, you would be in for a surprise and a shock to see what it's like in the third world. In the larger cities and towns, twice a week, hundreds of vendors converge to sell their goods and wares down these densely packed and traveled alleyways and streets.